Hi folks, back before Christmas I did a little thing on little knives, the little Serge Panchenko copy that Paddy gave me. There's a little, this actually wasn't in it but it could have been. These are tiny little knives. The little Spyderco here is only, 2.5 inches long in the handle, and blade 2 inches, 1 3/4 inch cutting edge, something like that. The little Serge Panchenko is a little bit bigger than that. I can't even flick the blooming thing. My wife can. In fact, she can flick it so well. I bought her one of these for Christmas. A little flick knife. Unfortunately, the way things are going in Britain, this could easily be reclassified as a flick knife in the not too distant future, and she may not be able to carry it. But again, 2-inch blade, 1.5 cutting edge. Anyway, so I got this little thing. I did this one on little videos, but one I was particularly ungallant about was a Higonokami. But I said I didn't really like it, and I wouldn't miss it when it was gone. Well, anyway, when it went on to Al UK Legal Knives, and Paddy let him keep it. So I saw that there again on his channel, and actually I really started to think, no, that knife, it has something about it. So anyway, when I was making out my Christmas list, I put them on it, and my wife bought me this. Now, she was really disappointed when it arrived, because she said it just looked so small, and it's the same sort of size as that Serge Panchenko, similar size to that little Spyderco. It's a tiny little thing, but it's in brass. Now I need to get this. I need to get this translated to see what it says. I can't quite. I'm not great with Japanese. Sometimes I can recognise certain things. I wondered if there was a date in there, but I can't see it. I can't. There's nothing that jumps out at me as a character that I absolutely recognise. But it'd be quite nice to get it translated, and I have a couple of Japanese-speaking friends, so I might see if we can work that out. Anyway, it's a traditional Higonokami. This time it's in brass. And it's riveted, but it's plain rivets. There's no sunburst sort of rivets. So it's nice. I mean, it's nicely made. Surprisingly expensive for what it is. Blue paper steel. I can't do this with one hand. They are one hand openable. I just can't do it. It's just me, because I'm a full-on cripple, which is something actually. Somebody asked me about that, and I will do a little video on it actually. What happened to me, that is to say. A bit more writing on the blade there. If it was a sword, you have a thing called a mei, M-E-I, which is the sword maker's signature. Generally speaking, you'll have an inscription on one side of the blade, and that'll be the side that when the sword is worn, is the side that's against the body. So if you're holding the sword in front of you, it'll be the right hand side of the sword, remembering it's worn upside down. Incidentally, that's how you tell the difference between a katana and a tachi, the side that the mei is on. Tachi is worn low, slung on the left hand side, and the outer side would be the right hand side of the sword as you were holding it. So the mei is on the right hand side. On a katana, which is worn with the blade upside down, thrust through the belt, through the sash, the obi, you have the mei is on the outside, and on the inside next to your body is the date, and it would usually say something like one fine day in the month of whatever. So I have one that says one fine day in the month of October 1937, although it doesn't, 1936, and it doesn't say 1936. It says Showa and the year of Showa, which was the period of time in the Japanese calendar. You go by the date of the emperor, and on the other side it has the maker's name, which is Amada Sadayoshi, who made a sword for Yamamoto. Yamamoto Isoroku was the mastermind of the Pearl Harbor attacks on the Japanese side, who also actually said he pleaded with the Japanese hierarchy not to launch the attack on the Americans, because he said, if you do, we will lose. And he was right. Unfortunately, he didn't live to see the end of the war because he was shot down, and when he was shot down, he was holding an Amada Sadayoshi sword in his hand, and there are 3 bullet scars in the sire of the sword that he was holding when he was found. Anyway, that's a lot of nonsense for you. Doesn't really make any difference to the Higonokami. Higonokami, by the way, Higo is a place, and Nokami means the like the prefect or the mayor or similar sort of term, what we would call in Scotland the provost of Higo. So Higonokami means the prefect or provost or mayor of Higo. And once you know that, I think it's a lot easier to remember the word. It makes more sense. Anyway, these have no lock on them. To hold them open, you can either use a pinch grip, which I quite like to use with a little knife like this, or you can put your thumb on the tang of the blade, which is there, which will stop it shutting. This one's relatively stiff. I suspect that's partly because it's new. I haven't used it very much, although I'd quite like to, because it's just nice. And although it's brass, I would quite like to keep it shiny. I'd rather it didn't gather patina. The blade will patina as well, I suspect. Blue paper steel is carbon steel, so it's not stainless. But it does come with this nice little leather slip. I toyed with the idea of even putting it on my keychain because it's small enough, but I don't know. I don't want to see it all bashed up, because I mean, I know if you watch that video I did on small knives, you'll think I really hated it, but actually I wanted to hate it in a way, because it's so crude. And when you think of some of the trouble that Japanese swordsmiths used to go to make koshiri for their swords, and this is just so crude. Actually, there was a thing, in the latter part of the 19th century. I can't remember the exact dates, but samurais were more or less outlawed, and the wearing of swords was outlawed. And so suddenly sword makers practically went out of business, and only the very best and the very finest managed to keep their heads above water. And others made cutlery. They made knives, kitchen knives, pocket knives, smaller, shorter swords for merchants and so forth. But those that made cutlery, it was considered a bit of an insult. So you would say to a swordsmith, "You're not a swordsmith, you're a cutler," and he would be mortally offended by that. Another little bit of Japanese history. So I think in some ways this does encompass. That's when when these knives became very popular. Funnily enough, they were popular until I think it was the 60s or 70s, and then there were a number of stabbings or slashings or whatever in schools, and they fell out of fashion because but up until then every schoolboy would have one of these in his pencil case for sharpening his pencils and so forth. I mean, the blade, I can't find much out about this specific one, but if you look at the blade, but in the cutting surface, you've distinct 2 colours. Now, if that's it's not folded steel in the sense of a samurai sword, but it may be encapsulated. So you may have a harder piece of steel in the middle, steel core, with a softer, more resilient steel on the outside. It's difficult to tell. The back of the knife isn't really finished at all. It's as though it's just been stamped out. So it's very difficult to see if there's a colour in there. I mean, there is a different colour at the edge there, but that's just the way that the guillotine that stamped it out has stamped it. You'd really need to sort of polish that down and see what it looked like. But it would be wrong, I think, to do that, because the way these knives are. But you've 2 distinct colours to the satin. you can see it. You've got the, it's like a saber grind. But I think, yeah, I mean, it's definitely got a sort of micro bevel, so it's not sharpened like a sword. Swords have an absolute convex sharpen. It would go from this line along here all the way down to the edge in one convex curve. Anyway, I managed to find 10 minutes of drivel to go on with this knife already. I'm not quite sure how that quite happened, but there we are. Anyway, if you do like this, please feel free to tick the thumbs up button and to subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye.